They were the first ones who learned to light themselves and find each other. The critical Black marine biologists, scientists of the dark matter under fathoms, suggest that there may be a causal relationship between the bioluminescence in the ocean and the bones of the millions of transatlantic dead. Oyeku Ogbe. They have been studying the relationship between Blackness and light, which is not to say that before the face of God or the race of capital moved across the deep, there was no light within the deepest sea creature, but is instead a signal to remember the character of calcium, the meaning of the presence of magnesium, both of which catalyze bioluminescence. Don't let me lose you. They are not saying that the light in the deep or the stars at the bottom of the sea didn't exist before the weight of the bones of the captives who would not live as captives, before the introduction of the diving, shark-cleaned bones of the free into the complex environment of the one inseparable ocean. They would never say that. But who would suggest an origin for light except Blackness? What the dark scientists are saying is that now that the bones are there, as fine as sand, the marrow like coral unto itself, the magnesium and calcium has infiltrated the systems of even the lowest filter feeders. So any light that you find in the ocean right now cannot be separated from the stolen light of those we long for every morning. And I don't need to remind you that the ocean, that place where the evolutionists and creationists agree that life began, the source of all the salt we breathe to get here, lives within us. All light is shared with those at the bottom of the ocean. Good morning. Are you breathing? Just in case, why don't we take some breaths together? And if you're concerned about your droplets or about my droplets reaching you, you should wear your mask. I'm going to take 7 breaths where I mark my inhale and my exhale. If you want, you can match your breathing with mine. If you want, you can breathe at your own pace. Looks like you've been doing a good job of that for a while, so you can just notice what it feels like to breathe in this space, to be a breathing being in this space amongst the dead of this space. So here we go. Inhaling and exhaling. 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 One more time, inhaling. Ooh, loud exhale. Okay, we in here. And Since the scale of breathing is collective, beyond species and sentience, so is the impact of drowning, the massive drowning, yet unfinished, where the distance of the ocean meant that people could become property, that life could be for sale. I'm talking about the Middle Passage, and everyone who drowned and everyone who continued breathing. But I'm troubling the distinction between the two. I'm saying that those who survived in the underbellies of boats, under each other, under unbreathable circumstances, are the undrowned. And their breathing is not separate from the drowning of their kin and fellow captives. Their breathing is not separate from the breathing of the ocean. Their breathing is not separate from the sharp exhale of hunted whales, their kindred also. Their breathing did not make them individual survivors. It made a context, the context of undrowning. Breathing in unbreathable circumstances is what we do every day in the chokehold of racial, gendered, ableist capitalism. We are still undrowning. And by we, I don't only mean people like myself whose ancestors specifically survived the Middle Passage, because the scale of our breathing is planetary, at the very least. So since our breathing is collective, if we could think about, call on those who are not physically breathing in this space and who yet make our breathing possible. Maybe we could name some of them. I would love for you to find one person or one being. What did Paul said yesterday? Something about like errant affinities as part of this ecofeminism that I also see as part of my lineage. So I ascribe personhood much more sloppily than the Enlightenment thinkers. So any being that you feel has had a part to play in the fact that you are breathing in this moment. There are infinite beings who are part of that because none of it is separate. But if you could actually call to mind one such being that you want to bring into this space, that you want to listen with, participate with during this Earth Talk. That's the invitation. So I am bringing I am bringing my great-great-grandmother, Rebecca, the warrior, the rural Jamaican genius who, dragged people out of churches and told people off and fought people to protect her girl children and her granddaughter, my grandmother. Because I think about the warrior breathing that allowed her to exist in the context she existed within. So I'm calling on Rebecca. And I want to give us a moment to actually say the name, or whatever you call them, that being that you're drawing on in this moment as part of this time we get to share together. Did you already find them, or you need a moment? They were right there. Some of you are like, they were right there. Some of you are like, why is she making us do stuff? We're supposed to just listen to her talk. And I love all of you for being right where you are. But this is the invitation. So find the name, even if you don't know their name, like official name, whatever it is that you call them, and we're going to call their names into the space all together. Okay? So I know I'm not the only one breathing in here. So if we count down and all you hear is Rebecca, then I'm just going to keep doing it until something different happens. Just so you know, that's my pedagogy. Ready? Let's take another deep breath. Inhaling. And on our exhale, say the names. Rebecca. One more time. Rebecca. There are dogs barking louder than what you just did. Let's see if we can do it even louder. Great-great-grandmother Rebecca. Okay, so it'll be like that. All right, so if you could turn to one person near you and just let them know why you're calling on who you're calling for. What that meant to you, somebody who is responsible for your breathing. We're just gonna take 2 minutes and just tell them a little bit about who and why. Go. About 30 more seconds. Say what you need to say. For folks who just got here, we're dedicating our participation to someone who's not in here and saying a little bit about why. So for me, I do this exercise constantly. And there's always either who I want to gather to me in a particular moment or who rushes into my consciousness. And then there's who I don't want to really gather. There's that too. But if you gathered them, they would be everyone. Gather them. Recognize in them your jawline, your wet eyes, your long fingered hands seeking what but this multitude. If you gathered them, they would not fit on this island. They would spill back into the ocean whence they came. When you gather them, they will have fins and claws and names you do not know. Gather them anyway. Some will look you in the eye. Some are too microscopic to see. If you don't gather them all, you will never be free. If you gathered them, you could not hold them, scold them, demand back what you think is lost. Gather them today, or your soul is the cost. Gather the ones who sold and who bought and who tossed overboard. Gather the erstwhile children in the name of the Lord. Gather the unclaimed fathers, the ones with guns and with swords. Gather them up with your hands, with your relationship to land, with your chin set. You are not done yet. You never will. Gather them more. Gather them still. They will unfound you and surround you, unfind you and unwind you, travel to you, unravel through your own needle. Gather the thread. Collect your dead. So, Earth Talk. I was like, I don't know what an Earth Talk is. I attended my first Earth Talk yesterday, so I now have one example of what that is. Something about being Earth and being on Earth in a particular way. And I think about what our incredible openers offered. A line that stayed with me was, Earth language coming through. And that possibly the sound of all of us humming during that opening was some form of Earth language coming through, which said something about presence. So I changed my mind about what I was going to do and decided to create a space of profound presence, informed by the experience of being here, right now, with you, having flown in at great carbon expense from Raleigh-Durham Airport back to Devon of Sir Walter Raleigh. And knowing, as Amal said yesterday, that sensing the planet is a particular form of listening. Knowing that, as Ash said yesterday, it's about relationship in a deep way. I wanted to offer an experience of us thinking about what it is to sense the planet on the intimate scale of our sense of connection, and also what interrupts it on a visceral level. So when you think about, when you feel about what it is to have that presence that you want to bring close to your breathing, and also to recognize that there are presences that we maybe want to protect our breathing from, very much highlighted in this time of protected breathing that we're experiencing as a so-called species. I wonder if you could find a word for what it is that you are protecting yourself from. Maybe you could write that word down. All that, all those systems of oppression, all those things. If you could find one word that answers the question, what am I protecting myself from? My word is theft. Did you find it? Okay, let's say it out loud. Extraction, violence, ignorance, disconnect, totalitarianism. death, aloneness. Okay. All those words are so deeply connected. Will someone call a number out for me between 1 and 252? Yes. There were witnesses: sea grape leaves, burr grass, pelicans, actual eels. There were vines and spines for everything you did, reflectively overgrown, brutally cut down. There was nothing here that was not you, and what you did to who you thought wasn't you. It's true, nothing went unseen. Even in the unlit dirt roads of night, even underwater or in caves, nothing went unseen or undreamed in the short, long lifetimes of the enslaved. Nothing is unknown. You don't take nothing to your grave except maybe bones, and even those will be repurposed for limestone soon. There is no permanent space for doom or gloom, only growth, and the green, brown life around you sees everything. Sensed by the planet. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that my deepest longing, the longing that brings me all the way here to you, the longing that attracts me to this idea of sensing the planet, and then that which I'm protecting myself from are like those exact sides of the same thing. So there's a breakthrough that's possible in relationship to all of this. The person that you dedicated your participation to, offered as a companion to your breathing in this space, the protection that you have, what you're protecting yourself from, and this deep possibility of being witnessed by and as the planet. That maybe could be one way of saying what brings us into this room. There's like an actual breakthrough that you're having in some area of your life that you haven't figured out yet, that has to do with these things: the why of who you brought, that which you're protecting yourself from, and this reality that there's nothing that's not you. There's nothing that's not what was done to you or what you do to those who you think are others. That form of sense. So I want you to think about a breakthrough question that you have at this time. Now, I'll remind you that often in a space like this, when you think about question, it's like this Q&A, and it's a small performative moment to demonstrate how critical and brilliant you are and how deeply you've thought, which is very cool. However, I think you have proven that you are so brilliant and critical and thoughtful just by your choice to be here of all the places that you could possibly be. So I'm going to ask you to let that be enough. Imagine like you have nothing to prove. Just imagine it, as a possibility. Because this type of question is a different type of question. It's like a real question about something that you haven't already figured out, don't feel like an expert in. And I think it's related to this question or this possibility from Tabitha's video, those of you who watched it earlier, which in a particular moment asks about the possibility of how our actions can be cleansing on this planet where our collective actions have been so toxic, so harmful, what could it possibly mean for our actions to be cleansing? That's something I'm like, I have no idea, right? So I have a real question around that. So find your question. It could be in an area of your life that feels really small. It's not small. As Ash was saying, relationship. It could be like, how do I collaborate better with my sister? That's a planetary question. It could have to do with the challenges, questions, transformations you're having in the work that you do. It could be a deep internal question. This is a question for you to write down. I'm not going to make you say it out loud, if that helps. Some of you will have the opportunity to share it if you want to, but you're not going to have to say this out loud. So ask a real question. What is my question? My question is, what do I need to let go of in my daily life, in my daily thought patterns, that would allow my actions to become more cleansing? That's my question for myself. So there's an example of question. Let's just take a moment and write down your question. Did you find it? Raise your hand if you want 30 more seconds. Okay. Okay, cool. So now we have all the necessary ingredients for an oracle. So our connection to someone who's not physically here, which is kind of tapping into our superpower of existing beyond the individual. We have our sense that there's something that we don't know, and then we have each other, and we have to introduce an element of arbitrariness, right? That's how an oracle functions. So now, people who want to can have the opportunity to share their question. I'm going to ask you to pick a number, and then I'm going to read something that has that number related to it from my, I would call it my DJ's record crate, but it's really just 4 of my own books. So it's highly self-referential oracle. But as my dear mentor, M. Jackie Alexander, tells me all the time, the message is always for the diviner. So especially if you feel like you get a read from what it says in here, understand that the message is always coming back to me. Okay, so I'll be the example. My question was, what is it that I need to release, let go of in my daily thought patterns, in my daily life that will allow my actions to become more cleansing, to be a cleansing? And I'm gonna choose a number between 1 and 150. Okay, and I'll choose a number 31. "31 is a chapter heading from my book Spill. It says, "How She Left." So that's instructive. You know, it's like, what are the spaces, potentially institutions, potentially websites that constitute part of my daily practice that I need to actually just leave? Like, girl, just leave. There we go. That's how the oracle works. Okay. So who's the person in here who's almost as brave as me, who wants to share their question out loud? And Amal will bring you the mic, right? Yeah. I see you in the green, yeah?
My question was, how do I gather myself?
Oh, I love that. Will you choose a number between 1 and 253? 44? Great. Yes. The first tea she made took all the flowers she could find, crushed and staining her fingers, brighter than blood and for the right reasons. She made it because she needed more than salt on skin and tracks left by what had been scraped away. She made it because maybe she would have liked to have been marked by the blood of all she had lost already. She made it as a tonic to clean out the insides, meaning womb and stomach, yes, meaning throat still unhealed from screaming, but also meaning heart, the organ and the part that you couldn't physically touch, but which had been touched and wounded nonetheless and trampled in the journey. It was holding the smell of the hold, she could tell. Can the petals dye the inside, already red? Could she layer red over the red of what happened, over the already red of the linings of blood and muscle and not enough fat anymore? Could she paint a transparent warning for the centuries of skinny children to come? Could she say something by the simple act of boiling, the complicated act of breathing, the necessary act of drinking the tea in its full, bitter, without the sugar or honey the generations would later crave and take for granted? Could she make a passage through? If not clean, then at least clear. Could she tell them something about life, that it was what it was, that it would stain you and screw up your face and you would still do whatever you could do, like crush every flower, not in vengeance, but from need, to drink down the plants, not from thirst, but from kinship, to clear out this flesh for what else could come through? Thank you for that question. It's a brave question. And that it's about making hibiscus tea, and it is in a section of this book, Dub, that is really from Boda, who is my ancestor, Ashanti ancestor who survived the Middle Passage and who is our mother, Anyanguilla. And it has to do with how could she, in fact, answer the exact question that I was asking. See how the message is always for the diviner? How could she cleanse from that journey in such a way that could never undo it, all the harm that had been done, but actually could still make a clearing for what needed to come through? So yeah, I see you, and thank you for that question. Who else? Yes.
I just bought your book, Revolutionary Mothering, while we were in here. So
thanks.
No pressure on the answer for this one, but how do I parent lovingly and transformatively?
I love that question. Okay, will you choose a number between 1 and 163?
23.
Okay. Everybody's choosing numbers under 100. You notice that? Just noticing. Yeah. Oh, wow. The baby Weddell seal has not grown into her flippers. She is awkward. She does not want to swim. She does not know she can breathe underwater. No one has told her about the great oxygenating capacity of her blood. She doesn't know that the milk her mother gives her is some of the fat-richest milk in the world. Southernmost mammal on the planet, she doesn't know the depths of which she is capable, but her mother does. The mother Weddell seal will push her baby into the water against her will. She will force her child's head into the water while the baby coughs and sputters and struggles and squirms. She is new here. She does not know that she can breathe underwater until she does. And then everything changes. By the time weaning is over, she will be able to dive 2,500 feet below the water. Stay there for an hour if she wants to. Find a tiny hole she made for air after swimming 12 kilometers away. Move gracefully between frozen and liquid worlds. But she doesn't know. Am I the only one here in a lesson, a coughing, sputtering thrash, a struggle to stay who I thought I was, ignorant to what evolution has already written inside me? I feel out of my depth, but really, how would I know? The tough love of the Weddell seal mother teaches a lesson about the difference between what is cute and what is necessary, what has been and what could be. And I am grateful for all of my mothers, biological, by the way, my mother is here, biological, chosen, she's my biological mother and I choose her, and ancestral, mammal and otherwise, like the copperhead snake who greeted me last night, who would shock me into knowing my capacity, trust my lungs more than I thought I could, to breathe in ways I haven't breathed before, to learn my blood in ways I didn't know it. I'll stop there, because you got it. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that question. Someone else? Yes. Just wait, Amal is coming with the microphone.
Hello. I would like to ask a question on behalf of a friend who is listening from the radio.
Oh, wow. Hey.
From Greece.
Hey, friends on the radio.
So this is a question from Annie. Annie asks, how can I be more fully in service of transforming my community struggle for a different way to relating to the land and each other?
Oh, I love that. Can they tell you a number? Okay, let them take a number between 1 and 212. What's happening? This is a first for me.
I don't know, do you want me to just say a number?
You want to choose a number on their behalf?
She hasn't texted the number back yet.
the reality of the delay.
Okay, 99.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Just to say, I know that you already know this, but we appreciate all the sounds that children make in the space. It's like our favorite way, right, to understand and relearn call and response. You all should be making more sounds like that in this space. So thank you, young leader. Okay, so this is for your friend on the radio. My teacher said the training explained it, but I knew it had to be more than that. We were not just running across hot coals, jumping through blazing rings, and juggling lit nunchucks anymore. We began to really breathe fire instead of extinguishing it with the damper of our breathing. We learned to ignite all the oxygen within us, hydrogen too, without the pain we thought would come from blackening our lungs. The acupuncturist said it was filtration, that we had evolved systems to parse out the carbon that we are. I guess we all had our way of making sense of it. But what I know is that before the change, when I felt the ancestors near, like really knew they were here, it would always bring tears right to the surface, towards cooling peace. There was an inner rush to balance, to offer to water the spirits, our bodies hospitable crossroads, the water within us still available for the crossing. And after the change, the message was different. Like the unseen didn't need a landing place. They wanted a spark. Like the cosmic vehicle needed an ignition, and we had made our bodies fossil fuels. So now, when they show up, we rise, fevered, and all our breathing says is burn. Okay, shout out to all the people in Greece. I'm just gonna leave that right as it is. Anybody else want to share their question? Yes. What? Oh, your hand went up without your.
Obviously, this isn't me.
Okay, all right.
But says that I need to answer this question. How can I trust the innate knowledges that I have to be able to guide and support me to bring all I need to life?
Will you choose a number between 1 and 252?
102.
Well, look, we got over 100, you guys. A collective victory. Say your question one more time.
How can I trust the innate knowledges that I have to be able to guide and support me to bring all I need to life?
What about the dogs? When loyalty mattered more than looks or speech and presence, mattered more than equality? What about the people who would have been better if they had been dogs? Concerned only with being alive, with being with you, and not with gain. What did you tell or show the dogs that would have been too much a test for any person? Too subtle for those who could see color and make it mean? What about when dogs didn't live as long as they deserved and people were too evil to go somewhere and lay down? What about when dogs were right about who should be trusted? What about dogs that were so sweet they trusted anyone and died for it? What about the scratching, sleeping, waiting life of love that doesn't leave or lie about it? What about the birds? What about the talking birds? What about the mocking laughs of the talking birds? What about the messages? What about the sharp mouths of birds with names of land and patriarchy? What about the rhyming names of birds? The freedom reaches of caged birds? What about the island fate of birds who cannot swim? What about the paradox of birds with brains too heavy for their wings? What about the knowing way a bird will call you out? Yeah. And that is from a section of Dub called Prophet, which is really for my grandfather, Jeremiah. Loved dogs and birds. And yeah, the knowing way a bird will call you out. I think the signs are everywhere. But definitely beyond species. Thank you for that. Thank you to your hand, and thank you for going where it led you. And thank you to your grandmother. Yes, yes. Up there doing a high five with my grandfather, maybe. Like, make her say that, Paige. Anybody else want to ask their question? Yes.
Thank you. What do I need to do to mend what is torn?
Oh, yeah. Will you choose a number between 1 and 150?
137.
Okay. To mend what has been torn. She eats tape. She swirls it on her fingers, tangles it on her tongue. She wants to lick the printed sounds off like flavor, the savior. She wants to know what you said. Or is it that all that has been said strangles and eats her instead? Crocodile patient, lodging her beneath the rock of history, the slime, the swamp to swallow some lost limb later. What is our nutritional value in the jaws of history? May we be more than a snack. May we be less than a balanced breakfast. May we each be pebble, chokestone, gag reflex to digestive destiny, regurgitate the rules, and start again. Yeah. Testament to your intuition. Yeah. Another person? Yes. Well, what about the people on the radio?
My question was, how do I grow roots in new soil?
Yeah. Will you choose a number between 1 and 150?
92.
Okay. If you feel your questions changing, you can always change your questions. you say your question one more time? Soil, yeah? Okay. Okay, this is a definition of spill. Spill. Verb. Let wind out of a sail, typically by slackening the sheets. My translation would be stay. Oh. Another question? Yeah.
How do I work at a different pace on a different time, a real body-bound time for real work?
Will you choose a number between 1 and 212?
280.
Oh, that's not between 1 and 212.
180.
Okay. You're like, please read from your book you didn't write yet. Stay tuned. Yeah. Their basements were not so much about keeping. I mean, look the cluttered mantles and end tables. Look the bright family pictures layered on top the older family pictures, mailed year after year, all crowded in the same frame. Look how the whole place become an altar to looking well. Pose and posture and figurines and cookie tins and evidence of other empires to leverage out the one we living in. It smells like we cook in a particular form of magic, and not everyone can cross this threshold. See where we place the mirror so you can see yourself out if you come with malice? No one's saying obia, but no one's saying feng shui either. We have much, but we don't have much to put away. And really, we used to living at sea level properly, or in rented rooms temporarily, or if is what they call extra space, soon enough some cousin in there sleeping. So, basement is not a thing we really study like how you study it. Or say, basement is not a place where we put things we want to keep and ignore. But in some houses, and you only know if you should know, deep in the house is a place of blood and transformation, shells and seeds and knowing, a place of remembering and washing, a place of guidance and entrancement, and only the brave would dream to sleep there. But who know more duppy than we? They out duppy in the basement, deep in the backyard, and in the off-display places at home. Living room is like the jewelry, layered and loud with performance. What you call the basement, we would call the heart, where blood runs thick. So this is from MArchive, and M. Jackie Alexander, who every part of MArchive is inspired by, writes about the spiritual work that happens at home, especially in diasporic Caribbean communities. And for me, this particular piece explores what does it take to create the ceremonies that we need and to protect them. What is the aspect of our practice that most people will never see? And how does that sustain the real work? The basement is the place of the real work. Definitely embodied. Thank you for that question. I know. Some people know. Some people know in a different way, yeah. Another question. Yes. Oh yeah, Amal's gonna come.
I guess it might be a follow-on from that one. What is the way to sit with difficulty and trauma and have it move to another area where it's transformative or creative.
A way to sit with grief and trauma such that it can move to another place and be transformative or creative. Yeah. Will you choose a number between 1 and 252?
179.
Okay. We are the ones who were never born, who were born and lost, who were lessons unready for learning outside, crucial for learning inside. We are the ones made of lining and longing and spilled, dirt and hurt, tilled for what was done and not quite over. We are the names, chosen and put away or given to others. We are the ones who did not stay, but then we do. We are the nails and edges of you. We are the waiting and wonder of you. We share a wide tomb dug for small boxes like shedding foxes, hair and red. We are the actual undead, too real for movies. We are the knowing and growing and small. We are the accumulated, unenumerated squall. We are the rungs that punctuate the fall. We exist in a way you didn't know how to call forth until now. That's all. Thank you for that. I know we have a few more. Who wants to ask their question next? I see you. I also saw you. I heard something over here. Oh, and then you're going to go upstairs, okay? So after this, we're going to go upstairs because it seemed like 4 people up there. But first, I saw you here. Yeah, in the black hood.
How do I apply personhood more sloppily?
Join me. Just promiscuous. Will you choose a number between 1 and 252?
213.
Okay. Some of us did what we had to do with shells and blood, and the moon was always there watching. The moon beyond the whiteness they imagined. The moon was with us, always in her pull. Some of us did what we did not want to do with prayers and songs about imagined people when the real energy was all we needed. We opened ourselves to it anyway. Some of us sang below deck and the words we knew became less than words and more than sound and more air than air was under there. Some of us were silent about our power. Some of us taught it to our daughters in kitchens not our own. Some of us bought space for it with the fear and necessity of the birthing room. Some of us sent the unworthy to their tombs. Some of us were honored. Some of us were feared. Some of us survived. Some of us disappeared. We are talking about what happened over the course of 1,000 years. In a certain way, we are each of us still here. Thank you for that question. And then I saw you. Oh, she went upstairs already. Okay, so you're going to have to wait for that. Yay.
Hi.
Hi.
I think my question is, do I believe? Do I really believe it?
Oh, what a beautiful question. Will you choose a number between 1 and 212?
210.
Okay. There she was, beaded to the wrists of strangers who looked golden and languid, who looked to her like images made from plant and sea glass, who looked to her like the promise of the sun fulfilled. What had they done to regain the original dignity? And why were they contained to only one island on this big planet? The oracle shifted her hips, grooving back into embodiment as she landed. It was as she suspected. Dignity itself, the other spelling of her name, had been internationally outlawed and confined to small island spaces without bridges, spaces where she was shamelessly loved in green and gold. She smiled, a mouth full of shells, 8 above, 8 below, and joined the dance. She was back to do her work. I know. Plot twist, you already know. Were there other folks who are up top so that Amal don't have to run up and down the stairs?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, how do I move through this life both with strength and tenderness?
Strength and tenderness. Will you choose a number between 1 and 150?
8.
Great. We just had something with 8, huh? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What and tenderness? Strength and tenderness. Whoever thought of an upside-down cake? Her fingertips graze the razor can edge. The swimming pool pineapples float in sweet, and the weight of the cake will crush them, she thinks, will grow dense, fill the pan and crush them, she knows, like the heavier heaviness of days. She absently slices her finger, adding red into the yellow, and cries, and what did they ever do? It hurts. And what did they ever do? So, pineapple upside down cake. But also that scene in Spill is connected to many of the scenes in Maud Martha by Gwendolyn Brooks. These moments of intimacy and empathy with a can of pineapples, for example, are an example of this tenderness. And in this work, it's in a domestic space of making that these lessons on tenderness are growing. And I do think of that as a form of strength. But also, everybody read Gwendolyn Brooks, please. It will also make you stronger and more tender. Another person? Oh, someone right behind you, Amal, and then the person who has a green scarf in their hair after that.
How can I take or put down the imaginary pressures of life?
Mm-hmm. Take or put down. Yeah, will you choose a number between 1 and 252?
252.
Okay. Can you say your question again?
Yep. How can I take down or put down the imaginary pressures of life?
Yeah. When you carry it, it pushes on your shoulders. It pulls your muscles down. It slowly teases them apart from tendon. You tend towards the spineless when you carry all that wrong. When you carry it, it takes up your hands with invisible shaking. It is taking away their openness to something else. When you hold it, it gets bolder atop you. It learns how most easily to stop you from the you of your momentum. It strains you at the septum, and you push against your own teeth as if you don't need them. When you let them, fear makes burrows in your spirit, shortcuts so you hear it louder than your purpose now. When you cow, when you walk between the bars to the destiny of craws and grind and crushing, when you ignore the screams and silence at the end of all the pushing, when you bow to that which don't deserve the blush, the gushing, when you pray to idle plods about the burden, you keep on hurting, you and everyone you shove. And when you love, you let it go. You put it down. You show your shoulders what to do with sky. And love is how. And love is when. And love is why. Definitely coming from Sylvia Wynter, who says the rule is love.
How can I deepen connection with and service to this space held by moon and earth?
Yeah, will you choose a number between 1 and 212?
2.
Okay. That's a great question. I love it. It's a blank gray page. You got it. Anybody else want to ask their question? I think we have time for 3 more, in case you've been trained to be motivated by scarcity. Here's someone here.
My question is, how do we weave into being what we want to become together?
Oh, I love that. How do we weave into being what we want to become together? Will you choose a number between 1 and 212?
3. I don't want a blank page, but 3 is my favorite number.
Okay, so I hear that as read 3 and 33. Is that what you said? I'm gonna read both because I think this is good. So 3, how do we weave together what we want? So 3, it's really a title page for a section called From the Lab Notebooks of the Last Experiments, asterisk on last. Last is a verb. So there's that, last. And I'll read 33 because you said 3. They came with sugar, not of sugar cane, sweetness not of cotton, but of air. They came with cakes not funneled down to grease, with layers like clouds. They came every day like it was their birthday, or yours, one or both. That was when they first came. And then they came with salt, with water and blood to wash you. They came with spit and sand to shine you. They came with cleansing first in mind and woke your soul with it. next time they come, I hope they bring soil and green, soothe for the roots. I hope they bring dirt and depth and plant us in it. We sure could use the grounding for remembering Earth. Ooh. Okay, prophecy fulfilled over here in the... We could use that grounding. Thank you. Thank you for that question. I see someone over here.
Hi. I'm wondering, where do I find the words to ask real questions? Thanks.
Yeah, what a great question about questions.
Oh, my number.
Can you choose a number between 1 and 150? Sorry, 1 and 163.
17.
70?
17.
Teen? Okay. Yeah, real questions. Once upon a time, there was a giant sea mammal who weighed up to 23 tons swimming in the Bering Sea. In 1741, a German naturalist discovered, that's in scare quotes, Hydrodamallus gigas, swimming, large and luxe, at least 3 times bigger than the contemporary manatee. Within 27 years, the entire species was extinct, killed on thousands of European voyages for fur and sealskin. So she knows what we know. It is dangerous to be discovered. 27 years. Who else could only tolerate 27 years among Western humans? Jimi Hendrix? Jean-Michel Basquiat? Even Amy Winehouse and Kurt Cobain? 27 years is such a short time. How do we mourn and survive the violence of being known? How does capitalism so quickly destroy what took billions of years to evolve? What do we know about this subungulant mammal related to elephants and aardvarks? She had blubber and was hunted for it. They say she couldn't sing. The only sound was her breathing, but she could hear for miles and miles and miles. What a loss for listening. How can we honor it, the archive of your breathing? Some say your death was only incidental. You were so conveniently located on the favorite path of sealers and fur traders between Russia and North America. Those 27 years were like a gold rush, fueled by the desires of fashionable Europeans for hats, fur hats, and coats. A fashion trend sparked by colonizing North America, a supposedly endless supply of fur. They were on their way to get sealskin and fur. They would kill you and eat you during the journey there. Does that make anyone feel better? Keep anyone warm? That your extinction, the first known extinction of a marine mammal caused by humans, was collateral in the pursuit of other deaths? Oh, you rough mermaid, what are you teaching us about breath? Oh, massive vegetarian, what do we do now that our listening is that much smaller? I think you are more than evidence of the deadliness of a world in which skin is for sale at a premium. I think you are more than another testament to the stark implications of European voyaging, more than an indictment of the rush, more than the folly of a dominant way of living that changes the planet quickly, thoughtlessly, forever, more than the deadliness of an insatiable hunger born of chasing things other than sustenance. That hunger outlived you. I feel it chasing me too. What can I do to honor you now that it is too late? I would honor you with the roughness of my skin, the thickness of my boundaries, the warmth of my own fat. I would honor you with my quiet and my breathing, my listening further and further out and in. I would honor you with the slowness of my movement, contemplative and graceful. I would try to be like you, even though they say it's out of fashion. I will remember you, not by the name written in the possessive of the one they say discovered you after generations of indigenous relationship. I will say, once upon a time, there was a huge and quiet swimmer, a plant-based, rough-skinned listener, a fat and graceful mammal, and then I will be quiet so I can hear you breathing, and then I will be breathing, and you'll remind me, do not rush, and the time in me will hush, and then we will be listening for real. Okay, let's just do one more, and that will be our close. No pressure to that you who give the last question. I see someone right here.
My question is, what if the ancestors did not do good?
Yeah. Will you choose a number between 1 and 252?
64.
Okay. What the seaweed kept. I'm going to read 2, I think. Okay, what the seaweed kept. Nails and hair, gems and metal, everything shiny lunged for by barracuda and dropped. The leavings of baby nurse sharks, their first teeth, bones and bracelets, long since unbraided rope, held out hope for the undrowned possibilities. Safety for the small enough, snack bar for the greedy, sand which knew itself before as glass, as shell, as pearl, as cartilage. There were names for some of these things before the tangle and the growing over. Quiet dance of ransom, the sleeping weave of knots, the shelter of the dark in all this sun, the knowledge or the sense to root in somehow and keep hold. Okay, one last thing, because it's almost time. Yeah. The story of how Stanella Attenuata did not get her spots back, or how she hid, or why, unlike pantropical spotted dolphins elsewhere, do pantropical spotted dolphins in the Atlantic, not to be confused with Atlantic spotted dolphins in the Atlantic, appear not to have spots. She hid. The best way not to be spotted in the descriptive infinitive is not to be spotted in the sense of the passive tense, or vice versa, because once they spot you, that's it. So she hid. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it is that in the warm Atlantic, anything is possible. And even the strongest swimmer must reckon with the attenuations of the blood-washed Atlantic, the sight of a sea change in the meaning of skin, a need for stealth. What do I know about this? I know about hiding. I know about creating an opaque image unattenuated by grief, insecurity, and shame. At least I think I do. Many times I have showed up and allowed you to think I am here by myself, not attended by ghosts, not haunted by everything. The best way not to be spotted is not to be. Not to be. But what if something else is possible and my sweat is at stake? What if the repression of my freckled faults and fears is exactly what will stop me from honoring the ocean of my love, which is older than slavery and lived millennia without shame? What if my swimming unseen sacrifices the wisdom that would waken within you if you saw? What if I've trained you to ignore the truth about me at your peril and mine? What then? There are many dolphins in the genus Stenella, striped and spotted, spinners, and the hybrid Clymene. What if we are all necessary in our specificity? Can I trust you to love me with spots? If you clock me, is the time up? I do know that sometimes people have seen a part of themselves in me too messy to bear. Do I cherish my wildness more than I fear their rejection? Sometimes if I feel all my emotions in public, I can't make myself speak. But sometimes I speak anyway. And my first marine mammal lesson was that if I breathe, I can still speak, even while crying. I can breathe through salt water. I can live through this mess. Mammal recognize mammal. More recognize more. I love you and your spots and the spot we are in for all that it is teaching us. I love you and your skin as the meaning of skin meets its most strenuous test. I love everything you hid and everything you gave and everything you showed and everything you made while you waited for me to notice. And the ocean is wide through my every pore. Salt recognize salt. More recognize more. Thank you.